Hey everybody, it's me, Daniel, although you may know me as Capt Bergerson from either this channel on the 𝐓𝐼𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐠cast or my own channel, shameless plug, please go check me out. So not too long ago on Jesse's channel, we put out a short video talking about ways that Breath of the Wild save data could transfer over to its sequel. The main example being, say, if you had items hanging in your house, then maybe they would still be there in your house in the sequel, with the Switch reading the save data from the first game and basically transferring it over to the second game. Since then, I've been reading a lot of your guys' comments, concerns, thoughts on the feelings that you guys left on that video, and I've been thinking and ruminating about it a little bit. So consider this video a follow-up on that topic. Now, obviously the game needs a way to sort of reset Link at the beginning of the game, otherwise there would be nothing for you to do, or there'd be no point in trying to grow as a character. So I don't think that all your hearts and your full hearts or full stamina, etc. are gonna carry over. I just feel like that's unlikely. Or is it? I mean, there could be a short section or even just a cutscene at the beginning of the game that sort of takes all that stuff away from Link. So you maybe start with it and then lose it very early on. Think of Metroid Prime, or Metroid Prime 2, or Metroid Fusion, you get the idea. But that doesn't mean that everything has to be taken away. I think there could still be some fun and not game-breaking elements that could be retained. The key here is that these should be fun, enticing, but not essential, meaning that people who didn't play the first game for whatever reason, or maybe people who played the first game on the Wii U and not the Switch, could still have a fun experience without feeling like they're losing out on something. It should just be a fun bonus, and that's all. So let's explore that. Consider this a follow-up to the last video, just a little wish list of my own, of ways that Breath of the Wild save data could somehow be imported or carried over to Breath of the Wild's sequel. Number 1, horses. I don't know what it is about animals in video games, but if a person dies, okay. If a dog dies in a game, I will destroy everything. Horses are no exception for me. Since they can die in Breath of the Wild, I found myself getting pretty protective and attached to them, and going on bokoblin killing sprees if my horse even got slightly grazed in combat by one of them. So it would be a bit sad to lose out on them entirely after forming a strong bond. But what if your horses that you have boarded in stables could carry over? Then you could just continue your adventure with your favorite steed in the sequel without having to start over with a new horse. But if you were someone who couldn't transfer your save data over, then catching a new horse just isn't that big of a deal, right? Number 2, completed Trial of the Sword. We saw in the trailer for Breath of the Wild sequel that Link does indeed still have the Master Sword. Now, I love having the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild, since it doesn't break and is very effective against Guardians. It's even more powerful of a weapon after completing the DLC Trial of the Sword, which awakens its true power. Now, the Trial of the Sword is not easy to complete, so it would be a nice way to reward players who did complete it if that completion carried over. If not, the Master Sword could still function as normal, dealing 30 damage by default and 60 when near Malice. But if you've completed the trial, then you would keep that constant power of 60 at all times, just like the first game. Number 3, inventory capacity. Now, I think this is something that you should still be able to expand in the sequel, even more so than the first game, and I have no idea if Korok seeds will still be a collectible or not, but still. If you went through the trouble of collecting Korok seeds and maxing out your inventory space, maybe that is something that should carry over. I still think it should be even further expandable in the sequel, and that you won't miss out on the chance to expand it if you couldn't carry over your save data. But still, it would be a nice convenience to begin the game with just a little extra pocket space. Number 4, Amiibo Support. Okay, now hear me out. I know people will scoff at the very idea or the very mention of Amiibo functionality in any game, basically. But hear me out. There's been plenty of other games where Amiibo has had more functionality than just unlocking something or giving item drops. Amiibos have the ability to actually store data and transfer it over. Now, one example is Wolf Link, who carries over the amount of hearts that you finish the Cave of Shadows with in Twilight Princess HD. In Smash, it saves AI info that the figure player has learned from fighting you, including its level. So, what if there was an option for Wii U players or Switch players alike to be able to save some info from Breath of the Wild onto an Amiibo then scan it into Breath of the Wild 2 to carry some of these things over, whether it be weapons, horses, or some other bit of info. Seems like more of a hassle than just reading save data for us, the player, but then it would make it something that's entirely optional and easier for more people, Wii U and Switch players alike. Assuming that is that you have any amiibo. But who knows, maybe that would just be a nice marketing way for Nintendo to entice you into buying some. So what do you guys think? Do you think there even will be any save data transfer or information carried over from Breath of the Wild into its sequel? Or are there any of these ideas that, seem compelling to you or fair? Let us know in the comments down below. Of course, we want to hear your thoughts. We love to read your comments, and Jesse pretty much hearts and likes all of them anyways. And we really care about your input. So let us know your guys' thoughts. We will read them, I promise. And make sure to stay tuned for all things Zelda, including Nintendo's E3 presentation is coming up. It's just around the corner. I can taste it. E3 is nearly upon us, and we'll be doing lots of fun stuff for that. So stay tuned, everybody. And if you feel so compelled to listen to me talk some more, feel free to go check out my channel, 𝐓𝐻𝐵𝐴𝐺𝐴, where I also talk Zelda in my own videos. Anyways, guys, that's all from me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you soon for E3. Maybe we'll find out more info. Maybe not. Who knows? All right, guys. Bye for now.